Hi again, everybody, and welcome to QJTV. To my left, Kyle Moore on the precipice of a big weekend, but coming off of a big night last night at City Council.
Yeah, we're going to have the Dogwood Weekend this next weekend. It's going to be a good time for the city. We had budget vote last night, which is always interesting. You know, we had a lot of tough decisions to make, but the council coalesced around a general principle and a general budget, and we got it passed.
You got it passed 8-6, but you left two men on base, true?
Yeah. You know, we had support from 8 aldermen, bipartisan support. You can't get everybody on board when you're making difficult decisions. And you had one frame of reference or one mindset that said, well, why don't we just use reserves? Why don't we deplete our reserves and hold off capital because our funding is going to get reduced? Or you had the majority that said, hey, let's be proactive. And let's know that our funding is most likely going to get cut from the state. Let's take proactive measures now. We're not going to budget for the whole cut, but we'll get about 90% of the cuts or 75% of the cuts done now. And then if the state comes back and cuts our full $2 million, we're going to have to look at revenue. But this was a proactive approach that a majority of the council agreed with.
You know, Kyle, hindsight's always 20/20. With the Republican governor coming in. In the back of your mind, someplace you kind of had to think that some of that which has already happened was going to happen. Then you roll back and say, if we had just done the privatization of the garbage, maybe this would be different, but there's not much you can do about that.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I have to take these issues as they come. And, you know, the hydropower cost us $5 million. The garbage not only would have closed $1 million deficit that we had at the time, but would have reduced some of our operating expenses. But that's water under the bridge, and now we have to take a look at where are we at here. And so, for an example, I proposed a yard waste sticker, which went over like a lead balloon. And so then after the citizens came to us and said, they don't want us to adopt that, then we had to coalesce around a consensus budget. And I didn't get everything that I wanted out of the budget, but that's what governing is. It's taking everybody's opinions, seeing what you can agree on, and then moving forward.
You know, we talk about all the non-bipartisanship that goes on, but that's not the case last night.
No, last night we had 2 Democrats. You had pretty much every ward but 2, that supported the budget, and so you had a good cross section of Quincy. And I think the aldermen ought to be applauded because these are not easy decisions,
right.
And you don't sign up for aldermen and think you're going to have to cut $1 million. And it's tough, especially when there's employees in the room. We value our employees and we want to give them more money, but the fact of the matter is we can't afford it. And I think it's also important to know that nobody got laid off with this budget.
Right.
We had 4 retirements from the police department. We're choosing not to fill those at this time. And for the fire station, again, we had to make the decision between brick and mortar or manpower. So how many men are going to respond to your fire, or how many fire stations we're going to have.
Kyle Moore with us on QJTV, talking about waste and pickup. Alderman Farha came up with an idea, and talk about that a little bit.
About the yard waste?
Yeah, right.
Well, basically we just said we were going to hold off on the yard waste because of the fact that we didn't have consensus. There were some aldermen that wanted to raise garbage fees. There were some that wanted to raise yard waste fees. We didn't have 7 votes to do either of that. So what we decided to do was let's go ahead, take the yard waste out of the budget now, and then readdress that if the full $2 million gets cut from the state.
Fun stuff. Dogwood coming up.
Yes.
I've looked at the weather forecast. If Rich Kane were here, he would say, well, but he'd say something. But anyway, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking good. I think it's going to be a great weekend. We have the parade that starts off. I guess the neighborhood block party's on Friday night if that's happening in your neighborhood, and then Saturday we have the parade. The parade turns off at 7th Street this year, so we can set up. And then Saturday night we're closing off Main Street, 5th to 8th. For a free concert. We have a stage on each side facing each other. Starting off 4 o'clock with Britons. They're a Beatles cover band. 5 o'clock on the other stage we have Jared and the Gentlemen, followed by Madhouse Jackson. And then we have Super Magic Robots and the Plastics. So completely free. And then all the money that's generated there goes to either local businesses or service clubs. And then on Sunday, I think, is going to be a really cool day down at the riverfront. We're going to have a community-wide church service at 3 o'clock. followed by Christian recording artist Johnny Diaz, Unspoken, and another one that I'm forgetting at the top of my head that are going to be there, and or JJ Weeks, and they're very good, and so hopefully we'll have thousands of people down at the riverfront celebrating Quincy's 175th birthday.
And in talking about 175, the committee just keeps one right after another, don't they?
That's right. So we go here, and then next step up is a trip to Denver for the All America City presentation, and hopefully we'll win that. And then we have a few other surprises up our sleeves that we'll announce after we get the Dogwood celebration.
Anything we didn't cover here you'd like to get out?
No, I just appreciate I appreciate the community's willingness to study the budget and look at it. I didn't receive any angry calls. People discussed this in a very good way that they realized that we were in a tough budget position. So again, these are not anything that anybody enjoys doing, but I think the citizens know that when the money's not there, the money's not there.
Rolling back to your conversation with Governor Rauner,
yes,
that's a little spooky, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I understand what Governor Rauner wants to do, and my thoughts to him were, you can introduce these cuts to municipalities. However, you need to give us some type of public safety pension form release. I gave him some ideas on how to do that, and you need to give us some help in the state. And so I think if he does that, he'll be okay.
I noticed in the Tribune the other day that there were some suburban mayors who were kind of taking him to task.
Yeah, well, again, there's sometimes a very much a not in my backyard mentality, take from everybody else but me. And
right.
I certainly, when he first came out with it, I had to educate Representative Freese and State Senator Sullivan and the taxpayers on what the cuts would be for the city. That's my job. That being said, in my discussions with Governor Rauner, I understand he's got a $6 billion hole to fill.
Yeah.
We can't expect that the city of Quincy, or whatever program you love that gets funded by the state, is going to go unscathed. So let's be adults about it. Let's get our work done and put the city of Quincy in a good position to where we're not waiting on a doomsday scenario from Springfield. So now we're in a better position. Are we out of the woods? No. But we're certainly not sweating every twist and turn with the budget now that's going to happen out of Springfield.
And having said that, you've still got some infrastructure stuff that's looming large, right?
Well, yeah, we have $24 million worth of infrastructure that we can't pay for right now, and unfunded needs. And so we have a lot to come up with. And I will remind people, this budget took our budget deficit from 1.7 million to 1.1 million. So we still have a structural deficit in our budget that at some point we need to correct, because a fiscal policy that's rooted in overspending your revenues and depleting your reserves is a bad fiscal policy, and that's one thing that I'm trying to correct during my term as mayor.
And we're all living that right now here in the grand old United States of America. Kyle Moore, Dogwood Festival this weekend.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
Come out and enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Kyle Moore on QJTV. Thanks.